And here we are. Welcome, everyone, to the Undrafted Free Agent podcast, the very first episode.
The rookie episode?
The rookie episode, although we're far from rookies. So this is a podcast for everyone out there who never really had dreams of going into the NFL, but fervent fans, people who love, take it in, and enjoy the beauty of football and professional football. Although I know my co-host has said he wants to talk about other leagues. I'm all about the NFL. As a disclaimer, we'll say we know nothing really.
Absolutely nothing.
I have played. How many downs of NFL football have you played?
To this moment?
Yeah.
0.
Not future downs.
Oh, not future. Okay. All right. Never rule it out.
I would not make any bets based on the information you receive in this podcast. I would not even set your fantasy lineup to what we have to say.
Maybe a little. Just maybe the bench.
I would, maybe it gives you a view into what to avoid.
Yes.
Right? Players to avoid.
Exactly.
So I'm your host, Merp, HoHum911 if you follow me on Twitch. I have been an unrestricted free agent since 2004. And this is my co-host. You can introduce yourself.
Richard Gazilla, unrestricted, undrafted free agent since, I'm going to say, 2010.
2010?
Yes.
That was I'm trying to remember the quarterback crop from that year. You were not listed.
It's not.
No.
Not even under kickers, though. I think I have a legit shot, though, if I put in the time of being a decent punter.
That is what this podcast is about, right?
False hopes and dreams.
False hopes and dreams. All right, so we're going to start things off by talking about a little bit about Week 4, right? Just last night. It's Tuesday now, October 1st, and we had a couple of, wild games last night to round out, other than those two games, a pretty sensible weekend of football.
You kind of figured out who was for real and who has some flaws that they've kind of covered up.
The surprising and unsurprising for reals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the two teams that are left that are undefeated. There are two, right?
There are two, yes. One is not a surprise at all.
Not a surprise at all. Yeah.
Kansas City. And
the other,
Minnesota.
Vikings.
Yeah, I thought.
We'll talk more about that.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
Yeah. So, Rich, what was the highlight of your football weekend?
So I can pinpoint it to one screenshot or one moment. It was the exact moment where you saw Aaron Rodgers become a Jet. And I'm sure you can find it online. There's a ton of memes probably going around when he's defeated, I think, emotionally. I don't even think they had lost the game yet, but he's defeated on the bench with a towel over his head, and that's when you knew he was a Jets quarterback. He couldn't, complete a pass. He couldn't get a first down. They had single-digit yards per down at that point, and you could just see the weight of the Jets organization come down on him. That was the highlight of my NFL weekend.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers is just very memeable.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's that one image of him when he was on the Packers.
Yes.
After I don't think he actually got sacked. I think he got the ball out.
Yeah.
But he's laying with his chin strap up in his mouth.
Is it just New York quarterbacks?
Is it just New York quarterbacks?
Because Eli was super memeable.
He was.
Mark Sanchez with the butt fumble. Maybe it's just something about New York.
It's a hard place to play in.
It is, apparently.
Right? Speaking from experience? No, not really. Not really.
What was the highlight of your weekend?
I was traveling this weekend. I went up on a mini vacation to Rochester, New York. I went actually to an amazing museum, nothing to do with football, the Strong National Museum of Play. It was one of the best museums I've ever been to. And I've been at the Louvre within the past year, and I was telling my wife that I think this museum might top the Louvre. Strong words for museum goers. But Rochester is Bills country, and it was just refreshing to see how, really, really into the Bills Mafia is.
Diehards.
And I wasn't even in Buffalo. I was
Yeah.
an hour away from Buffalo in Rochester. We were walking through the grocery to pick up some things, and my daughter's like, "Oh, they really like the Bills here." My daughter knows nothing about football.
I see this a lot when I travel. Something has to be said about when you go somewhere and like everyone just likes the same team.
Yes.
That's we don't get that in the New York market. Like everyone's kind of split between Giants, Jets, Mets, Yankees.
And you know what? Not for nothing, but have a lot of people here collected from all over the place.
Yes, that's
you get, bandwagon jumpers from Cowboys, or legit people from, New Orleans who transplanted over. So yeah, we see a lot of different fans. But no, you cannot wear not Bills colors up in Rochester.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool to live somewhere where like you just knew you could talk to anyone about like that team. And,
Yeah.
You have that connection.
Yeah, and then, broad spectrum of people, ages, gender, race. They all Bills fans though, all Bills fans. All right, so we are gonna launch into our drive today, right? So every episode, every week, right? We've got 4 downs to make it to wherever we're gonna get to. First down,
Punting.
red zone, punting eventually. So we're gonna get to our first down now, our first segment here. Why don't you introduce the segment, Rich?
Okay. So this segment is going to talk about ridiculous rules that, if imposed into the NFL, would be wild and fun, but again, just absolutely ridiculous. And the question I have now, because I have 2 written down.
Okay.
Do you want me to go super wild, or should we go a little bit on the tame side to start off?
Let's go tame.
Okay.
And then I'll do mine, because I only did one. I think we miscommunicated there. I didn't have like a whole bunch, but I just had one to start.
Oh, I just prepared 2 just in case.
Just in case that
Okay.
we got the same one. I was
Yes,
wondering that too,
yeah.
but I was like, there's no way we'll get. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so you get going, and then I'll jump in after.
All right. So, one rule, or it's actually like a data collection idea. So, interceptions should be assigned like errors in baseball. So, so an error in baseball, they can say, okay, you should have made that play. You get an error. And it could be on the pitcher, it could be the catcher, it could be the first baseman, whoever.
Right.
Interception should be the same thing. It shouldn't always go back to the quarterback. If the receiver ran the wrong route, or if he tipped it up, or whatever happened, it should go to the receiver, not the quarterback.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, so I can see 2 sides of that. Like, because definitely there are a lot of times when someone's running the wrong route, and with football, it's really about being in the right place at the right time and doing what you need to do to get there. And so I can see someone blowing an assignment, hits you in the hands, whatever. Although I do see the other way, because I have played some sports and I've coached, and one of the golden rules, I think, throughout sports is passer's responsibility. Like that's a rule. It's like passer's responsibility to get the ball there. Now, it's so specialized in football where there's only one person passing.
Mm-hmm.
On a basketball team, everyone's got a responsibility to pass, so you've got to tell everyone, take care of the ball. It's a little tougher when you can't share the load
Mm-hmm.
when you're just the only quarterback there. So yeah, I'm for it.
Yeah.
I think it's only fair that if someone else screws up,
Yeah,
the quarterback
right?
doesn't get blamed. Yeah.
Because how many times, and I feel like as Giant fans, this has happened a lot to us, it hits the receiver like in the hands and just pops up. And once it pops up, you're like, it's going to get intercepted.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, it gets picked off.
Yeah, or even if it hits the dirt, like it's a wasted play. Like we're Giants fans. Slayton had a couple in that last game that would have been meaningful.
Yeah, 100%.
Hit the dirt.
All right, so what's your proposed rule?
So, in the modern age of football, there's so much stress, and rightly so. And I think the league's really smart about this, on keeping players safe, making sure they have long careers, long lives afterwards. And so I don't understand why it is permissible for NFL defensive backs to tackle Derrick Henry. They should not be allowed to do that. There should be some rule where if Derrick Henry gets 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage, you just if you're a defensive back, two-hand touch.
Two-hand touch.
Right. Poor Taylor Rapp. Sunday night. Did you see that?
Yeah.
I mean, if you go high, he's going to bury you with a stiff arm. And so Taylor Rapp decided to go low, and it was lights out. And I can tell you, I've been hit the same way Taylor Rapp got hit, and it's not
by what?
Fun. Playing football. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually, by my friend.
Just imagine
my friend Adam,
file cabinet.
Right? He's not with us anymore. He was a heavyweight wrestler in college, so he freestyle wrestler. And he was a big dude. He was cleared 200 pounds, and I don't know what I was thinking, trying to go low on him. And that was just backyard stuff.
Honestly, like, there's a reason why we're a punter and a quarterback. On the defensive side of the ball, I don't understand what else they can do, because you can't go high, you can't go low. Like, you have to, like, coddle them to the ground. Like, they just keep on taking things away from the defenders on how they can play.
Yeah.
And offense just runs with it.
Right. If they're gonna do that, if you can't, take their legs out from under them, you got to give them something.
Yeah.
Right? You got to replace it with something they can do.
The Derrick Henry rule. 15 yards.
Is 15 too much? Maybe 10 yards. Derrick have 10 yards.
All right, we'll say 10 yards. But I like that because now that is another line we have to have a graphic of. So, like, we have the yellow first down marker, and since he's on the Ravens, they should have a purple Derrick Henry line. So once he crosses that line, two-hand touch. It's applicable.
Yeah.
More lines on the screen, the better.
Right. Fewer 90, 80-yard Derrick Henry touchdowns.
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, the dude was running 21 miles an hour. All right, what you got?
All right. So I think our next point should be, I think we have our main topic, right?
Did you have one more rule?
I want to save it for next week. Yeah, I'm going to save it. Yeah.
It's a gem.
I'm going to save it. It is pretty wild, so I'll save that for next week.
Okay, so that means we're ready for second down, our main story, right? We don't want to get behind the sticks. We did a good job on first down. Nothing fancy, but you want to get yourself in position second down.
Kept on pace,
There you go.
On schedule.
And so this is our main story of the day. What are we talking about?
Jets quarterbacks. Former Jets quarterbacks.
Right, we talked about this. We were tracking the weekend, and we noticed a trend out there. There are these high-round former Jets quarterbacks that are taking the league by storm. We have Sam Darnold. I mean, he's just
MVP caliber right now.
I mean, he's on top of Kevin O'Connell's shoulders a little bit, but he's doing
also
his part.
Coach of the year, definitely.
Right, possible. We have, who else is out there?
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith last night. Oh man, his line was crazy.
Yeah, but first loss of the season, right?
First loss of the season.
So 3 wins.
Almost 400, and you don't see that a lot in the NFL right now. 400 yards passing, so that's pretty crazy.
And then the timeless Joe Flacco.
That's the one I was forgetting. Joe Flacco, who had his stop in New York, and
for 2 seasons. People forget it's 2 seasons.
And I was actually surprised when they didn't bring him back after drafting Zach Wilson, because I thought you would need a veteran presence. I don't know. Maybe it was Joe's decision. I was thinking of texting you about it because I know you have a connection.
Yes,
there, right?
I went to school with Joe Flacco at Delaware. It's just amazing that it just seems like you can plug him in wherever, and he's going to give you a quality start.
Yeah.
Like, he could, like, literally last year, remember? There was photos of him on the plane landing in Cleveland. And I think he started that week or the next week and just went on this run to bring the Browns to the playoffs.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. And he's got one of the things that keeps quarterbacks in the league, right? There are a few things that, throughout, as you get older, and he's got that arm. He always had that arm. And I remember I've been around football to remember Jeff George's like unending career. He was not a great quarterback, but that arm strength, the ability to throw it, that's so tempting for everyone. And when you get down to like a backup quarterback, they gotta have something, right?
Yeah,
they gotta have something.
Yeah, I think on a future podcast we gotta talk about how it seems like this day in the NFL, you need like a 1A quarterback, a 1B, and maybe even like a 1C. Because like look at Miami now. Miami went through their starting 2 quarterbacks, and they signed Huntley, right?
Yeah.
From the
Packers.
Yeah,
right.
And they lost last night. They didn't look great. Like you can't just have one quarterback and just rely on that.
Yeah, and back in the day, you would carry 3. I think they cut down the roster sizes somewhere in the 8s. I wish we had a stats person that would check on us. But then all the teams went down to 2 quarterbacks. I was talking to our buddy Anthony about the Niners because I noticed that they carry 3. And I was like, "Oh, you guys carry 3 quarterbacks?" He was like, "What could happen to us in the playoffs 2 years ago?"
Yeah. Josh Johnson, right?
Yeah. And I did
undrafted
notice
free agents.
And maybe for multiple reasons that the Giants also carry 3 quarterbacks. Although Danny Dimes doesn't seem to have a short leash. He seems to be playing decently.
Yeah.
It's New York. Yeah. But coming back to the Jets, what is it? Like, what is it a Jets thing, do you think? Is it just the way quarterback? Because I've heard a lot of talk about the mishandling of quarterbacks all over the league.
Okay. So I know, everyone's go-to here is the New York media.
Yes.
Yeah. Everyone says that the New York media and the front office, they don't know how to like handle quarterbacks.
Right.
I have a little bit of a different take.
Okay.
Maybe people haven't really thought about it this way.
Let's hear it.
So I'm going to name some quarterbacks that were in that division from like the 80s. See if these names ring a bell. Jim Kelly, Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, Peyton Manning, people forget. He was in that division for 2 years.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And then Josh Allen. So you have like 6 Hall of Fame Hall of Fame quarterbacks in that division since the 80s. So they're always trying to play catch up with those quarterbacks.
That's true.
So
that is a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure. And you ever see the trend where if you rank the quarterbacks in a division, like best to worst, that's usually a good indicator how they're going to finish the year. So the Jets have had to deal with those 6 quarterbacks for a long stretch of time since the 80s.
Right.
I don't think any other division has that stretch.
No. And then you didn't mention. I thought you missed on Tom Brady. I'm looking at you.
Tom Brady was 20 years of just like.
And that's the other thing. Like, they're always behind the 8 ball, every game, every season, right? And so that's added pressure. But how much of that is the quarterback? How much of that is like the rest of the team is just bad?
Well, I think it's a little bit of so if you look at recently Tom Brady, so you have a front office who says, okay, twice a year we have to play Tom Brady, and that's who we have to keep up with. We have to keep up with the Joneses. Let's get someone young who's a good quarterback, and the moment it doesn't work, they just move on.
Right.
And they're just constantly trying to fill that.
And that's something I noticed. I was looking at the string of quarterbacks that the Jets have worked through and drafted. It's not. I don't know what the league average is. It doesn't look terrible, but it's constant.
Yeah.
Shifting over since like Chad Pennington. Like Chad Pennington was the last, and he wasn't actually there that long. Chad Pennington.
No. Yeah.
It feels to me, in my mind, it feels like he was like.
He won more in Miami.
Yeah. And it was not a fair comparison, but I compared to the Giants. I should have looked at another team, because if you look at the Giants quarterbacks, like Eli was there forever.
Yeah.
246.
That's not the norm. Yeah.
Yeah, 246 games. The longest tenured quarterback for the Jets. Oh, it was not Namath. Namath was like second, but they had like 60-something games.
Yeah.
Compared to Eli
Mm-hmm.
Stewart. And, not for nothing, Phil Simms had a long career, 120-something games. So that's just to say that I don't know if the Jets give enough time for these guys.
And you could...
And, to your point, can they when Jim Kelly, Drew Bledsoe, and Tom Brady, Dan Marino, if they're
There's
all...
been a Hall of Fame quarterback in their division, every year since the 80s.
Right. Better to be in the AFC East where there's no consistency.
Yes, yeah. So, I they always say, you don't want to be the fourth quarterback in that division when they rank them, but...
Or the fifth. I heard, speaking of the Colts, someone, on the internet pulled up a stat where the Jets are still the fifth winningest team in the AFC East.
And the Colts have won the division more recently than the Jets had. Yeah.
That's right. Now, how about compared across the league? We also noticed Bryce Young and these other young quarterbacks.
That's a little bit of a shocker, Bryce Young.
Is it though? A shocker is in
that happened so quick.
That happened so quick.
Yeah.
From the eye test, I don't think it happened so quick. From the eye test, watching the games, I do wonder how he got picked there, how that whole situation happened. Who were the people making those decisions? You know what I mean?
I think part of it, honestly, is even though Alabama just turns out these college quarterbacks that do really well and they win national championships and they win Heismans, it doesn't translate all that well to the pro level.
Right.
Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts isn't doing all that well. Tua, Bryce Young.
Right.
You have all these Alabama quarterbacks who did so well in college, but then maybe they're out of Nick Saban's system and they get to the NFL.
Yeah. Although arguably you're 50-50 on the quarterbacks he named, right? Because you could say Jalen Hurts and Tua.
Yeah.
And then let's take the other examples, right? Bryce Young and Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm. You can throw A.J. McLaren in there.
Right. With more time, development, do things turn around? Do they become NFL quarterbacks with better grooming, more time?
I think you look at the Packers. The Packers have had this string of amazing quarterback play, and still too early with Jordan Love, but they sit their quarterbacks.
Yeah.
When they draft them, they get comfortable with the system, and then they succeed a year or two later.
Yeah.
Jordan Love might even be 3 years.
Right. Which, again, used to be the way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was that moved us away from that. I feel like it has to do with salary cap.
Yeah.
Right. But
also, you had that 1 year with Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco. Rookie years just went off the chains.
Oh, and then so they were like.
And then they looked at that, and that was the prototype.
Although, like you said, Jordan Love, and I think, from my eye test, Jordan Love looks like, he's got it. And then you go through those, and Aaron Rodgers actually had the same development. Yeah. Mahomes, we got a season of Alex Smith.
Yeah.
We all could see it in those games that Mahomes played. We all knew, but they were patient.
Yeah.
They rode through that season.
And then
do you think we need more of that? Do you think we need more of Drake May? You know what I mean?
I think
they're
so.
sitting Drake May right now to get these quarterbacks up to speed with what's happening in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you look, we can look at the data, and I think you're going to see that trend where when guys sit, even if it's just half a year,
right,
just to absorb everything. They always say the speed's way faster in the NFL than it is in college.
Yeah.
And if you go back, you don't see freshmen in college starting at D1 schools. They redshirt. Right. I don't know why that gets lost for whatever reason from college to the NFL.
That's true.
Yeah. And then tie it all back, all those examples you just gave, Kansas City, Green Bay, small markets.
Yes.
Small markets. Tie back to New
Yeah,
York,
you know,
that big
we
market.
think about football in a vacuum. I tend to, but I think, you know, there's a human element, the market size, the media attention.
Yeah.
Although, let's see, how many Super Bowl winners, recent Super Bowl winners, have been small market? I mean, there are only a few big markets.
Yeah.
We had LA win one, right? It's been a while since the
Yeah.
Giants.
Yeah, and two, the most recent years are going to be tough because Patrick Mahomes just ruins everything.
He does. He ruins everything,
Ruins
any metric about football
the
right now.
destroyer of joy for other fans,
Yeah.
especially Niner fans.
Yeah, there's so much hate. I don't think the hate, Patrick Mahomes' hate, is undeserved.
Yeah. Do you see
I mean,
that?
I don't think it's deserved.
Yeah.
I had that wrong. I think he's
Well, that's
playing
when,
as well as anyone I've ever seen.
that's when you know you reach the next level of greatness, when people hate you because you're just so good. Like, for the first time in years, the Kansas City Chiefs are the most hated team above Dallas.
Yes. It's how I felt about Michael Jordan with my Knicks.
Yeah.
I hated him so much. But as he got older, I appreciated him. Still didn't want to
Yeah.
see him.
Ask any Jet fan how they feel about Tom Brady, and they hate his guts.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Second down. Moving on to third down. We gained a lot of yards on that one. So let's go to third down. And we're going to do tops and bottoms,
Yes.
right? Tops and bottoms. And today's tops and bottoms theme is mascots. Who you would want to see in a fight, or who do you think you could take?
Who you think you could take in a
Who do you
fight?
think you could take? Okay. Top three, bottom three, right?
Okay.
And so is the top three the ones you would most likely be able to beat?
Yes.
Okay. That's
Okay.
when I was forming my list, I was like, it doesn't matter. I'll have the two lists.
Yeah.
Right.
And just as a general safety thing, we should probably avoid like groups of people in this. Like, we don't want to say the Vikings, like, you know what I mean?
Got it.
That's fair. Although that being said, I do have one group of people, but I think it's okay.
Okay.
You'll see.
All right.
Okay. All right. So should we start with the bottom or top?
Let's start with the top, the ones you would want to.
Okay.
You think you could take?
So we'll go 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Okay.
All right. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right. So who do you have at number 3?
At number 3, I have TD, the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had a dolphin.
Have you seen how cute this dolphin is? Oh my gosh! And it's all in the eyes. It has
Yeah.
those like cartoon dead eyes.
Yeah. Like it's been held in captivity for way too long, and it's just not doing well.
Uh-huh.
All right. So I went with like team names in
Okay.
addition to Matt. So my number 3, this is the group of people. So the Chargers.
The chart.
And I actually had to look it up because it's kind of a unique name. So apparently the name comes from the owner of the team when they were going to get a franchise. Was a big LA Dodgers fan, and he loved how the Dodgers and USC football would yell "charge" in the games. So basically, like, do you think you could take an annoying fan, probably drunk, we'll be honest,
Yeah.
drunk annoying fan in a fight? And I think I could.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
I think so too. And if it's a phone charger,
It's a phone charger.
no question, I've destroyed tons of those.
All right. My number 2 is the Indianapolis Colts mascot Blue.
Yes.
Which for a couple of reasons, you know, first of all, who knows what kind of creature it is, but
Isn't
it does
it like a
look
dragon?
like a cuddly. Is
Yeah,
that what it is?
I think.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Without wings, maybe.
Yeah, but I also wanted to put them on a list because, you know, just to be so unclear on
Yes.
what your mascot is, you deserve to like
Yeah.
take a few.
I had Colts too. That they were outside the top 3.
outside the top 3. Okay.
Yeah. All right. So my number 2, Ravens. I feel like
Poe?
Poe. I think I could take Poe.
You think you could take?
I think
I tried to avoid some of the more vicious looking animals.
no, just gonna torment me
Poe.
at night.
I get it. I get it.
I feel like I could take it.
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't put up that big of a fight. Just I feel like as long as you can get out of the night with it, it's gonna hate the daytime. You'll be fine.
All right.
Okay.
My number 1. who very very punchable mascot. First of all,
Yes.
is Brownie the elf. I did not bother
Yeah.
to look up the history of Brownie the elf, but if you've ever seen, it's like a
Yeah.
very elf on the shelf
Yes.
looking elf. I don't know if it's like a retro thing that they
Yeah.
brought back or if it's a new thing, but yeah, I'm slugging away at that.
Yeah. It's funny because I left the Browns off my list because they're named the Browns after their owner,
Right.
who looked like a football coach that would punch faces and ask questions later.
Right.
So I didn't think I could take that in a fight. So my number one was Cardinal.
Cardinal.
The
okay.
Cardinals. I feel like they're just so tiny.
You,
Got-
no,
Yeah.
I see.
No
I
animal
see.
cruelty, but like it's just so tiny. And like I assume they can't fly. Like
Yeah.
in this scenario, they can't just fly away. We'll keep it in a
You know, there are a lot of bird mascots out there.
Yeah. It's funny because I had some in the opposite.
The most punchable bird mascots. Not on my list, but I was eyeballing the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, I thought about that, but have you been to Medieval Times lately? Where they have the
What?
falcon.
Oh,
wrangler?
okay, I see.
And they have like 3 minutes of warnings, like do not leave your seat when this falcon is flying. Those talons. It's a raptor, so like it's
Yeah.
gonna do some damage.
All right, bottom three.
So
why don't you
one's-
run through your list?
Okay.
Bottom three.
So
Ones you would not want.
I would not. Okay. So Bears, obviously.
Obviously,
I've
yeah.
seen The Reverend. Don't want to
The
mess with
Revenant.
it. Yeah. Lions, although I'm going to say the new Lions logo, not
Okay.
like the old one, where it's kind of like scrawny and skinny.
Yeah.
And then
It gave me like is it Rocky the Denver Nuggets lion? It
yes.
gave me those vibes.
Yeah. And then Bengals. So a lot, just basically cats in general.
Cats versus birds for you, I guess.
Yes,
right?
cats versus birds. Yeah. Outside the top three, I had Eagles and Panthers. So a lot of birds and cats.
Birds, cats. I also had Staley the bear.
Okay.
Right, Staley. I think that was his name. The bear. It does not look like a modern mascot, right?
Yeah.
Right. Him and the brownie look like they came from another age. Steely McBeam, the Steelers mascot. It's like a brawny. It reminds me of the mascots they had for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
A little Canadian football. We've done some Canadian football here.
That's our Canadian football talk for the week.
There you go. And you mentioned the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I had this in my head. I did not
Mr. Bolt.
know the story.
Boltman.
Right? I had to look up that story. Not the official mascot.
No,
But
super fan.
super fan.
We
Yeah.
should do
I'm
an
gonna
episode on
I'm
super
gonna
fans.
put it in Boltman because that story of Boltman appearing in front of the local
Yes.
legislature,
Yeah.
right? Any mascot that can use
Mhm.
legislation, I don't want to mess with.
Yes.
Right?
To that same point, though, we should also include Chiefsaholic.
I was thinking Chiefsaholic too because
The crime spree and everything. I
Right.
cannot wait until that movie comes out,
Oh
which
my
inevitably will.
it's got to. They've got to be. They must have the 30 for 30 locked up.
Yes.
They're just waiting for some statute of limitations
Mm-hmm.
before they can launch it.
One honorable mention, I think we should include the Dino mascot from the South Korean baseball team. Have you ever seen that?
Not seen it.
Oh, okay. I will show you offline.
Okay.
The I think his name is McSwollen.
McSwole.
It's like an incredibly jacked dinosaur.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We didn't make it. We didn't get the first on third. So we've got a decision to make. But I think we're going for it, right? Fourth down.
That's what the
Fourth.
analytics always say.
That's what the analytics says,
Yeah.
right? Final thoughts on week 4. What are your final thoughts on week 4?
All right. So I think I have an idea and we could discuss it on next week's episode. But can you think of a number, since we could talk about Joe Flacco and Joe Flacco's back in the scene? If you just, without going through the divisions, just off the top of your head, how many teams in the NFL right now would take Joe Flacco off over the starting quarterback?
I have the saying,
Okay.
there are not 32 quarterbacks in the world. That's
Correct.
my saying.
Yes.
So, more than half.
More than half, so
More than half.
17, 16?
Yeah, 17.
I was saying 10. I said
10.
about like 1 or 2 a division. But I think we should do that next episode.
Yeah, we
just
should
go
count
down.
it up. Count it up.
Count it
yeah,
up.
We'll count it up. Yeah. My final thought for the week: cornerbacking looks so hard.
Yes.
If there's any job out there, like I don't know where these people come from that love being cornerbacks, but it
Receivers
seems like
that
an
can't catch.
impossible, undoable, thankless task. And I don't mind when a cornerback, when the ball's overthrown and a cornerback celebrates like as if he did something, because the rest of his job is just impossible, right? So more power to him. All right, we made it.
Yeah.
Our first episode,
It's pretty smooth.
Undrafted Free Agents. We'll do this every Tuesday, right? So if you want to catch us live, which Rich is terrified of, 4:30s, we'll try and get started sooner, right on time. But we'll do this every Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So
Hope you enjoyed the first episode, the rookie episode.
yeah, week 5 is hot on our heels now with Thursday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take our notes, we'll bring them to you, and we'll have a great football weekend, right?
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Like and subscribe. That's what everyone says, right?
That's right. I think that's how it works. Like
Okay.
and subscribe.
All right.
Catch me on Twitch also. I'll leave my particulars. Bye.